one, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. Today is incredibly exciting because I was given the opportunity to interview the executive producers and showrunners of the new National Geographic series, The Hot Zone Anthrax. So in this video, I'm going to be interviewing Souders and Brian Peterson. These are absolute titans in the industries who have worked on the likes of Beauty and the Beast, Under the Dome, Smallville, and of course they lent their talents to the latest National Geographic's project, The Hot Zone Anthrax. And we're going to be talking about their roles in this series today. So Brian and Kelly, thank you so much for joining me in the video today. I really do appreciate you guys joining.
Absolutely, it's great to be here.
Excited to be here.
So I just want to start off, I've got 8 questions for you guys. I'm going to start off with, I just want you guys to explain your roles a little bit more to my audience. I know you guys are the showrunners and executive producers, but what does that title actually mean, and what were your responsibilities on set?
Boy, and guess what? A lot of people in the industry still don't know what a showrunner is. So we're thrilled to get to speak to that. As executive producer can mean a bunch of different things. It can be somebody who just happened to own the rights to something and is getting paid and, isn't really involved, or it can be somebody who's like on the ground every minute of the day, month after month after month, sometimes years after years. And that's us. So we kind of are in charge of pitching the idea and selling everybody on it with the studio and network. And we've had great partners at 20th and at Nat Geo. And then we have Ridley Scott's company, who's been amazing to work with as well. And we pitch it, we come up, we bring in some writers and a small little writer's room, and we create the story and we break it down into 6 episodes, and then we write it. And then we keep rewriting it as we go into production. And we prep for the production, and we help, from casting to looking at wardrobe and signing off on things. And then we're there on set quite a bit, to make sure everything's going smoothly, and, that the actors have the support and the directors have the support they need. And then we go into post and work with the editors every single day until we're happy with it. I don't know, Brian, I'm sure I left out about 1,000 things.
No, you covered the gambit. I was going to say that, but to focus on really having a hand in casting and choosing the director and hiring the directors is a huge part of the job, because you look through so much material trying to find the people that can visually really deliver what you're hoping for. And we found some great directors this year. And it is a little weird on set, because what will always happen is there is not sometimes a knowledge of the fact that we've pitched it and written it and been involved and hired the directors and everybody on set. So we'll get to set, and there are people sometimes, especially the inexperienced, PAs that kind of look and they're like, wait, who are you? And then somebody's got to whisper in their ear, and then they're like, oh, I get it. But we work a lot with the actors on set as well. We have a really good relationship, especially during COVID. We Zoomed a lot with the actors to really get into character and talk a lot with them on the set.
Ultimately, you guys are the creative force behind the entire project. You have creative control from a point of view. And so I've just got to ask, you guys decided to tackle an incredibly touchy topic, especially for Americans, and that was 9/11. So was there anything you guys had to be really delicate about when you were creating the series? Was there anything you deliberately chose to avoid, anything you knew you had to tackle? What were the difficulties about approaching such a difficult, touchy topic?
It was very sensitive because, on the tragedy is that people died in this story. And we also are dealing with mental health, which we tried to handle very sensitively. But what we did is what we did the first season really is focus on research a ton, from books to articles to clips of shows to some FBI files, greatly redacted, and really try to focus on how do you tell an inspired by story based on the facts and let the audience come to the conclusions rather than trying to come to conclusions for them. So we really tried to just tell the story based on research, not having much of an outside point of view, and are leaving that up to the audience as they watch it, which is actually really fun as creators to bring the audience in and almost make them part of the process.
That was great.
Cool. So you guys answered that perfectly. I've just got a quick question. A big part of cinema that I really enjoy is, of course, stories that are based on reality and how much of that reality we get told in a fictional world. How did you guys take the events of 9/11 and then put them into this fictional world with fictional characters? I know this is also an adaptation of a novel. So how did you guys go from adapting these real world events, adapting this novel, and then turning it into your own series?
Well, actually, the first season was an adaptation of a novel, but this season is not. This season was,
this is completely original.
Was just something that we created using a lot of different source materials, kind of as reference points. But what National Geographic really felt strongly about was especially the science and the investigative beats. We tried to stay as close to reality as possible. That's where we really wanted to anchor the show. And when it came to the FBI agents that covered 7 years of investigation, we really, instead of trying to take any 1 or 2 or 10 or 100 FBI agents that really worked on it, take points of view, and in each one of the characters kind of infuse a point of view of different people that were working on the case. So Kelly, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things where the events are very, very much what happened in the context of the time. And I think, one of the things we always laugh about is last season, we got, just raked over the coals for having this crazy created by the writers scene of like monkeys in a trunk. And like, that was the part that was real. I mean, that was not, so all the things that here's how I can put it. Everything you see in this that you cannot believe is real, that's what's real. All the other stuff, what we created was, characters and arcs and the feelings behind it. And, obviously at that time, America was, really feeling threatened, and everybody working at the FBI was working around the clock, and they felt guilty and they felt driven to find, who was threatening America. So we tried to, that's the part that we, went in and creatively just, fictionalized and did our best to sort of put ourselves in their shoes and create a character who was really wrestling with some PTSD from the events of 9/11.
And so a big thing for me, and you guys answered this a little bit earlier, but you guys ultimately have a lot of creative control over this entire process. And as you guys said, you started from the very beginning, you pitched the show, you came up with the scripts and stuff like that, you worked with the script writers, you worked with the casting. So of course, you guys had a very clear vision of what you wanted this series to be. Do you believe that you made it to that vision? Do you think you exceeded that vision? Do you think you just fell short? What are your overall feelings from where you started to where you are now?
That is a really good question. And it's great to get on this series, actually, because I won't say for the first time, because we felt really good about a lot of our work in the past, but a lot of it because of the team that was assembled, the directors, the people on set, the crew, and especially the actors. I would say, because the other thing we didn't say is we're also very involved in post-production and working with the editors and the score. I would say this season really hit almost every level that we were hoping for, and especially in some of the performances far exceeded it. I don't know, Kelly.
No, I think that you hear actors say this all the time of like, oh, I can't watch myself on screen because I think of all the other different choices I could make. It's the same thing for a showrunner. I mean, we find it very difficult sometimes to sit and just watch and enjoy it because we're thinking, okay, did we manage to stitch those two things together because we cut a whole section out? Does it? And this is one of the times that I really sat back, and for every episode, all 6 of them, I'm on the ride. I mean, and we talk about all the time, typically we have to give more post notes or more music notes. And still, after watching an episode 40, 50 times, I would suddenly realize I haven't written anything for like 8 minutes because I'm so drawn into the story, even though I know what's happening, but it still feels like such a ride of twists and turns. I think this show, it met what we hoped and exceeded on many levels.
If there's one thing I've learned working in a team, and I know you also just mentioned twists and turns yourself, if you're working with a team, when you're working with a bunch of different people, you do run into snags. Were there any hardships that you as a team had to overcome when creating this season?
Every day there's hardships, though. But I mean, nothing terrible, and nothing that couldn't get worked out. I mean, I think that's the thing about show running. I always say it's like, even though we've been doing this for 20 years, every single day something hits me from left field that I never saw coming. Because of the manner of the business. I mean, whether it's like, oh, we suddenly have snow halfway through a scene where we've already shot half of it. I mean, it's stuff that nobody can control, but when you have a good group of people working together, it's much easier to jump over those hurdles and get on down the road. I don't know, Brian, you were going to say, no hardships.
No, I wasn't, because COVID was a pain in the rear. There were so many things that we had to adjust because of COVID, and you probably interviewed people who have shot during COVID, but it was an extreme challenge from, if you have somebody drop out that's supposed to be on screen the next day, they have to get tested 2 days earlier. So you have to search to find somebody that happens to have been tested by your testing team to show up on screen. There's the film industry is really based on last second, like, who do we get? What do we do? Everything is possible within 10 minutes. And that just isn't the case during COVID. So our crew did a remarkable job given the parameters they were under.
Well, guys, thank you so much. We're running out of time, but I just want to ask you one more question, and that's a very, very easy one. What did you guys think about the series once you watched it as a completed item or package or series?
I love this show. I really do. I mean, and I don't say that easily. I mean, Brian and I are like our biggest critics, but I love every minute of the show. I couldn't wait to watch it with, the visual effects once we were getting those in, and the music score was coming in. And I don't say that lightly, but it's really awesome.
And I would just add that, at the end of every episode, you might start to think, okay, I know where this is going. And what we try to set out to do, and I think what we accomplished and the crew and the actors accomplished, is right at the end, you're like, whoa. And we throw you into a whole kind of different angle of the investigation in the next episode. And it did really come together when you put all 6 pieces in total.
And the other thing I'll just throw in is that the show itself changes midway through. So you're in one show until the end of episode 3. And then it kind of turns into a much more, it turns into a different show. The first half is really about like the run and the gun of like, oh my God, we're being attacked. And the second half really turns into like a much more psychological thriller. So literally the episodes by themselves shift over time, which I've never done a show where we're kind of approaching it as almost 2 different genres, all within the same unit. It's a very grounded show, but it just even the genre changes on you. You think you're getting one thing and you are not. You're getting something completely different. So that was a blast.
Well, Kelly and Brian, honestly, thank you so much. You guys have really just helped me out so much. And I really appreciate you coming onto the show and letting me interview you. It really does mean the world to me. And I'm almost speechless. So thank you so much.
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Cool, but guys, thank you so much for sticking through that interview. It really does mean the world to me that you guys consume my content. If you did enjoy that interview, give it a thumbs up. Do not be afraid to subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you again in another interview.